Gene and I pondered for a long time, what do you give Mike? Right. I think you'd all understand that problem. And then it occurred to us, there's this herd of people called tribals, and you read about them like it or not every day in the newspapers now, because about half of them are fighting us, 3/4 of them are fighting us. It's the same bunch that we used for 8 years against the Soviets and kicked their ass out of Afghanistan, so then we went in and now they're kicking our ass out of Afghanistan. These guys are the freest of all free people. They live in the mountains, they have nothing. But they have an enormous code of justice, which is quite extraordinary. A man may want to kill you, but if you get into his village and you get into his hut, you are the safest person on earth. Move out of the village boundary and he'll kill you, even though he just gave you dinner. They are extraordinary folks. Now, the one badge of manhood they all have, one is you wear a lot of funny clothes wrapped around your head. The second thing is you got to have a rifle. If you don't have a rifle, you're not only not a man, you are nobody. And when rifles were first invented, well, they've spent their entire history as brigands and raiders. That's all they do. And they live in turf where they control the routes from all of Central Europe and all of Central Asia into the Indian subcontinent. Alexander of Macedon rode through the Khyber Pass. Waves of invaders. And these guys have taxed every one of them and hit every one of them and made life hell for all of them. Got to have their rifles. Now, in the old days, when the British ran India, there were only two ways to get those rifles. You killed a British soldier or one of his Indian army, underlings, and stole the rifle, or you made it. And this rifle, and a number of them just like it, handmade, literally, and there's some pictures here that Jeannie can hand out when we're having dinner and show everybody. That rifle was made literally in a mud hut, and the blast furnace the guy used is a mud walled thing this high sitting on the floor with a little boy who pushes bellows, and they would throw in chunks of scrap steel, usually pieces of railroad tracks stolen from the government railroad, which is why the railroad never ran it. And every piece there was filed and drilled, and when I say filed, I mean no power lathes. The guy would have the pictures that I took will show you, you'll see some. You have a bow drill, one of those string things, and you bore your way down through to make the bore. Then they put numbers all over it. Now they can't read the lettering. See, it's a copy of British rifles. And they tried to make it as close as possible. The Brits used versions of that rifle from 1905 until 1957. Version after version after version, and only specialists can tell them apart. That I am certain was probably made in the 20s or 30s. And it would have traded for an enormous amount of money. I mean, a guy had to pay 3 goats, 4 goats, maybe a camel to get that rifle. All his worldly goods he swapped to get that. Then he got in a fight somewhere with the British Indian Army, and he was either killed, they never give up their guns, you had to kill them several times usually. He was killed, and the British Indian Army took possession of the rifle. Now, nothing is wasted in the old British Indian Army, so what they did was, as you can see, it's got the carving there, it says DP on it. That means drill purpose. And in the old British Indian Army, they painted a white band around it and carved DP in the buttstock. And those were the rifles that were used when raw recruits would come into the old British Indian Army, the Bengal Lancers and that bunch. They all still exist. And so the natives who were going to be converted to soldiers could beat the hell out of this. And once they'd learned how not to beat the hell out of a rifle, they were given a real one. So the interesting part of that one, of course, is its provenance, which is handmade in a mud hut, blah, blah, blah. It was lost in a fight with either a British unit, British Army unit fighting on the frontier, or a British Indian Army unit taken by the British Indian Army and used to train same tribals, guys from the same place on the British side, how to use to go back and fight them. So it's a double-sided thing. But they are fabulous, and please, you know, we just thought, for Mike, I mean, it's nutty. Only Mike would really understand, and I'm sure all of you. But Jeannie and I thought of this and said, we got to do that.
That's
So,
great.
Mike, the only thing I can say is I don't know anybody else in the whole goddamn world.